Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Today we are going to start our presentation with the question, what is climate change? Climate change basically refers to the long-term temperature and weather shifts caused by human activities such as fossil fuel combustion and greenhouse gas emission, which will lead to the raising of global temperature. Warmer average temperature can make conditions more adaptable for many vector-borne disease carriers. These changes can alter disease incidence depending on host vector interactions, host immunity, and pathogen evolution. For example, warmer temperature allows mosquitoes and the disease they transmit to expand their range into regions where they previously have not been found.
Among the zoonotic diseases that have influence from the climate change is schistosomiasis. Schistosomiasis, also known as bilharzia or snail fever, is a parasitic disease caused by blood fluid of the genus Schistosoma. It is considered one of the neglected tropical diseases by World Health Organization (WHO) and is prevalent in tropical and subtropical regions, particularly in poor and rural communities with limited access to clean water and adequate sanitation. The symptoms of schistosomiasis can vary depending on the species of schistosoma involved on their respective area. For example, species such as Schistosoma hematobium can cause urogenital disease to the infected human or animals and can be found in Africa and the Middle East. Meanwhile, some can cause intestinal disease such as Schistosoma monksoni found in Africa, South America, and the Caribbean, while Schistosoma japonicum that can be found in Philippines, China, and Indonesia. Schistosomiasis has been identified as one of the climate-sensitive zoonoses, meaning that climate change can potentially influence its distribution and transmission pattern. While schistosomiasis is primarily a waterborne disease, climate change can indirectly impact its transmission dynamic through various mechanisms. One of the climate change that can affect the influence of schistosomiasis is global warming, which are causing prolonged droughts. Common happen in Africa as it is the poor country with limited access of sanitation and medication to control this disease. Prolonged drought can increase the concentration of the snail population as it can lead to a reduction in the volume of freshwater bodies such as rivers, lakes, or ponds. As the water level decreases, the remaining water bodies become more stagnant and isolated. This creates an ideal environment for the snail as the intermediate host of the schistosoma parasite, as they prefer slow-moving or stagnant water. The reduced water availability also causes the snail population to concentrate in the remaining water source that can increase the density of affected snail in this limited area. In addition, during prolonged drought, also give impact in reduced dilution effect. Without any rain, the reduced water flow and limited availability of fresh water source diminish the dilution effect of Caesarea. As a result, the concentration of parasite larvae in the remaining water bodies become higher that can cause increasing the likelihood of human exposure and infection. Finally, prolonged drought also can significantly affect the availability and accessibility of water for human activity. As water source diminish, people may resort to using limited and potentially contaminated water source for various purposes such as bathing, washing clothes, and fetching water. This activity can expose individuals to the contaminated water and increase the risk of coming into contact with Caesarea-infested water, leading to infection. Besides global warming, weather patterns such as heavy rainfall and flooding events also influence the distribution of schistosomiasis. Usually happen in Southeast Asia, like Philippines and Indonesia during southwest monsoon season. Heavy rainfall event can lead to the temporary or permanent expansion of water bodies such as river, lake, and pond. This can create new breeding sites for the intermediate snail host of Schistosoma parasite. The increased availability of suitable snail habitat can facilitate the reproduction and survival of the snail, leading to an increase in the snail population and subsequent amplifying the transmission of schistosomiasis. Heavy rainfall also can cause water body to overflow and can lead to the dispersal of snails. The flooding can carry snails downstream, allowing them to reach new area and potentially spreading the schistosome infection. This movement of snails can contribute to the geographic spread of schistosomiasis and pose a risk of transmission to previously unaffected area. Last but not least, following heavy rainfall and subsequent water expansion, individuals may have increased contact with contaminated water source. Flooding also can disrupt sanitation system, leading to the contamination of water supply with contaminated area containing schistosoma eggs, enhancing the chance of coming into contact with Caesarea and acquiring schistosomiasis.
Typically, one would expect droughts in the face of rising temperatures. While heat waves and droughts are among the effects of climate change, a rise in temperature can also cause more rainfall in localized areas. This is because warmer temperature causes more water to evaporate from the land and oceans and changes the rainfall patterns. It is estimated that the atmosphere holds 7% more moisture for every 1 degree Celsius rise. As more moisture is held by the atmosphere, subsequent rainfall is more intense, leading to flooding. Changes in temperature also affect monsoon weather systems, which controls the distribution of rainfall. This means rainfall is less predictable and may come in large bouts, causing floods in one area and withheld in longer periods elsewhere, causing drought. The strong link between these climate extremes and rising global average temperatures means continued global warming will mean more drought and rainstorms that are worse by many measures. This means that droughts and rainstorms will be more frequent, more severe, longer, and larger. Climate change can affect the intensity and frequency of precipitation. Warmer oceans increase the amount of water that evaporates into the air. When more moisture-laden air moves over land or converges into a storm system, it can produce more intense precipitation. For example, heavier rain and snowstorms. Floods can potentially increase the transmission of the following communicable diseases: waterborne disease such as leptospirosis and vector-borne disease such as malaria. So first, I will talk about waterborne disease, leptospirosis. So what is leptospirosis? Leptospirosis is a bacterial disease that occurs worldwide and can cause serious illnesses such as kidney or liver failure, meningitis, difficulty in breathing, or even bleeding. Cases of leptospirosis can increase after hurricanes or floods when people may be exposed to contaminated water or use it for drinking or bathing. A variety of animals can spread leptospirosis, including rodents, dogs, livestock animals, or wildlife. During a hurricane or heavy rain, animal urine in the soil or on other surfaces can run into floodwater, which eventually contaminating it. Streams and other natural water sources can also be contaminated. So, who is at risk? Leptospirosis most often affects people who work outdoors or with animals, or those who take part in recreational activities involving water or soil, like swimming, boating, and gardening. And after floods or heavy rains, anyone who has been in contact with soil, floodwater, or contaminated freshwater such as rivers and streams could be at risk for infection. So, how do people get leptospirosis? First, by encountering water or soil containing urine or bodily fluids from infected animals, or directly touching the urine or bodily fluids from an infected animal, or even by eating food or drinking water contaminated by urine. So, do you wonder how does leptospirosis spread? Animals like rodents, dogs, livestock, and wildlife can spread leptospirosis. During hurricanes or heavy rain events, animal urine in the soil and other surfaces can get into floodwater, contaminating it, and other natural water sources like streams. So, how do we know that we are already affected with leptospirosis? What are the symptoms? Symptoms usually start from 5 to 14 days after contact with bacteria that causes leptospirosis. However, symptoms can begin anywhere from 2 to 30 days after contact. Early symptoms can include fever, headache, chills, muscle aches, red eyes, vomiting or nausea, diarrhea, abdominal pain, jaundice, skin rash, or even cough. So, what can we do to avoid leptospirosis? If you are one of the victims that are affected with a flood or heavy rainstorms, please make sure to treat water to make it safe to drink by boiling it or using an appropriate chemical treatment. Second, cover cuts or scratches with waterproof bandages or other coverings that seal out water. Do not swim, wade, bath, or submerge your head in or swallow flood water or any freshwater source that may contain animal urine or be contaminated by floodwater runoff. Please wear waterproof protective clothing, shoes or boots near floodwater or other water or soil that may be contaminated with animal urine. And lastly, prevent rodent infestation by keeping food, water, and trash in closed containers and trapping any rodents you see.
Hi, my name is Nurusna Wera binti Mama Ami. Did you know that climate change can also contribute to this? Birds are sensitive to changes in temperature and weather patterns. They can migrate to locations with better circumstances, such as a warmer temperature, softer climate, or areas with ample water supplies. They can avoid harsh winter, drought, and other extreme weather occurrences that may endanger their life. Climate change can affect wild migratory patterns in a variety of ways, most notably through changes in temperature, weather patterns, and food availability. Early springs and later winters due to the warmer temperature may cause crucial events in bird migration, such as nesting and food availability to shift. They can begin their migratory travel based on environmental cues such as variations in day length and temperature. The potential impact of climate change on spring migration dates has been thoroughly researched, and the findings reveal that spring migration is occurring sooner. Availability of food sources for birds also can be due to climate change. Temperature and precipitation patterns can affect the timing of insect hatching, plant blossoming, and the availability of fruit, seeds, and other food supplies that birds rely on during migration. The bird's migratory routes or timing to seek sufficient food resources may be forced to change if one location the available food sources get interrupted. So what is the issue here? Wild birds that serve as carriers of various diseases can come in contact with local bird populations. Then there are the problems when infectious diseases also have the potential to be transmitted. This can occur through direct contact, sharing of food and water sources, or exposure of contaminated surface. One of the diseases from carrier birds is avian influenza, also known as bird flu, that carried by wild birds and can infect local birds. These wild birds can carry the virus without showing any sign of illness and shed the virus in their droppings. The problem is it can impact the health of poultry and decrease the production of fowl, because it has caused the death of millions of birds. The illness also can cause damage to the digestive and respiratory system of birds and has a high death rate. In addition, the infected local birds may transmit the disease to humans is highly possible to occur. People who are in close and repeated contact with infected birds or heavily contaminated environments are at risk for acquiring avian influenza. The virus can cross the species barrier and infect mammals such as rats, mice, pigs, cats, and dogs. As a result of the continuing circulation of virus of multiple subtypes, bird flu outbreaks can occur and remain a worldwide public health risk. Thus, it is clear that climate change-related changes in temperature, humidity, and precipitation patterns may have influence of vector survival, abundance, and activity, influencing the transmission dynamics of vector-borne diseases carried by birds. Cause migration of birds when certain parts of the world are less viable to live.
In Peru, climate fluctuations associated with El Nino were related to a bubonic plague outbreak in 1999. On the other hand, the increased rate of human plague in China is associated at the province level with the Southern Oscillation Index and sea surface temperature of the tropic Pacific East Equator. It has been estimated that a 1 degree Celsius increase in spring temperatures could result in more than 50% increase in Yersinia pestis prevalence in its reservoir host. Indeed, rodents are primary reservoirs and hosts for various zoonotic diseases and play an important role in their transmission and spreading. Rodent-borne diseases fall into one of two main categories: directly or indirectly transmitted diseases. In the former category, diseases are transmitted by being bitten or by inhaling the germ in feces of rodents, whereas in the later category, humans are infected as the result of consuming food and water contaminated by rodent feces or urine. Furthermore, rodents accidentally eaten by livestock could mediate disease transmission to humans if products of these livestock were not treated properly prior to consumption. Climatic factors have a notable impact on rodent populations. For instance, recently warm, wet winters and springs have been observed, expanding the rodent populations. Additionally, harsh weather conditions including heat waves are unfavorable to rodents, causing them to move indoors in search of water and food, which elevate human-rodent interactions. Furthermore, heavy rainfalls produce more crops and foods, promoting rodents to breed more often and expanding the population. Plague was the cause of some of the most devastating epidemics in history. It was the disease behind the Black Death of the 14th century, when as much as 1/3 of Europe's population died. Historically, it has also been called the Black Death, in reference to the gangrenous blackening and death of body parts, such as the fingers and toes, that can happen with the illness. Huge pandemics also arose in Asia in the late 19th and earlier 20th century, eventually spreading around the world and causing millions of deaths. Today, thanks to strict public health measures and modern antibiotics, plague no longer strikes great numbers of people, nor is it as deadly for those whom it strikes. Nevertheless, it still persists in some parts of the world where large populations of wild or domestic rodents harbor the fleas and occasionally pass them to humans. Plague is a serious illness caused by a germ called Yersinia pestis. The germs mostly resides in small rodents and their fleas. The most common way for humans to get plague is a flea bite. In the western United States, these animals include rats, prairie dogs, squirrels, and other animals can get plague by eating small animals with the disease or picking up their fleas, such as our pet cats and dogs. People are most likely to get plague from a flea bite. The fleas are likely to come from small wild animals or from pets. People also can get plague from direct contact with tissues of a sick animal. For example, a hunter can pick up the disease while skinning or handling an animal with the illness. Pneumonic plague can be passed from animals to humans or from humans to humans. Tiny droplets in the air can carry the bacteria when a person or animal coughs or sneezes. People can become infected when they inhale the droplets or touch coughed out mucus. There are 3 types of plague. The symptoms vary for each type. The first and common one is bubonic plague, which it causes swelling of lymph nodes. A swollen lymph node is called a bubo. The word bubonic is describing this feature of the disease. If a person has bubonic plague, bubos appear in the armpits, groin, or neck. Bubos are tender or painful. They vary in size from about less than half an inch to about 4 inches. Other symptoms of bubonic plague may include muscle aches, headache, sudden high fever and chills, and so on. Next is septicemic plague, which it occurs when plague bacteria multiply in the bloodstream. Early symptoms are very general like bubonic, but more serious symptoms may develop with advanced disease or organ failure, such as bleeding from the mouth, nose or rectum, seizure, rash, as well as blackening and death of tissue known as gangrene, commonly affecting the fingers, toes, ears, and nose. Lastly, pneumonic plaque affects the lungs. The disease may begin in the lungs or it may spread from infected lymph nodes to the lungs. Symptoms can begin within a few hours after exposure and worsen rapidly. If treatment is not begun the first day, the disease progresses rapidly to failure of the lungs, shock, and death. No vaccine is available, but scientists are working to develop one. Antibiotics, oxygen, intravenous fluids, and respiratory support are usually needed to treat the plaque. People with pneumonic plaque are isolated during treatment to prevent the spread of the disease. Healthcare workers must wear protective masks, gowns, gloves, eyewear when they treat someone with pneumonic plaque. Plaque can be controlled or reducing the risk on getting affected is by removing the nesting areas for rodents such as piles of brush, rock, firewood, and junk. We must not leave pet food scattered around in areas where rodents can easily access. Next, protect the in-house pets by applying flea control medicines on them and do not let them sleep outside of the house where plaque occurs. Not only that, we need to wear gloves or proper PPE while handling dead animals to prevent contact between our skin and the animal. Finally, make a habit to always apply repellent on skin and clothing containing DEET if going to places that might be exposed to rodent fleas during activities such as camping or hiking, and also working outdoors.
So, to conclude, we can manage the problems by taking precaution steps toward protecting human health and safety. Whether measures are meant to reduce the future climate change impacts or even to address the health impacts of climate change that are already happening, early actions provide the greatest health benefits. So, remember that prevention is always better than cure. Activities that reduce the amount of heat gases in the atmosphere are basically the same activities that we use to reduce the health problems, such as walking and biking. As we can see at the poster above, this is a KL Free Morning. It's a green initiative to promote a healthy lifestyle among both local and tourists in Kuala Lumpur through sports, art and cultural activities. It is aligned with Malaysia's commitment to reduce carbon emissions as a part of global drive to protect the environment and support the ideals of Paris Agreement and UN Sustainable Development Goals of 2015. This KL Car-Free Morning also strive to encourage healthy living, sustain eco-friendliness, and strengthen national unity and family bonding. Next, a simple action can be done by avoiding bug bites by using insect repellent spray or covering exposed skin can be done. Other than that, local officers should encourage the coordination for mosquito control program to find the hotspots for insect outbreaks so that the appropriate measures can be taken to protect public health.